They say my sisters are lazy. They say my sisters are lazy. And you know where that comes from? That comes from this whole welfare correlation, this welfare connection. And what's funny is there's more white folks on welfare than there are black folks. So then that would mean that white folks are lazy, right? This is where this stereotype comes from, that you had sisters that needed to use the system. Yeah, there's sisters who use the system and there's sisters that abuse the system. My mom used to be on welfare at one time. She used the system and got herself better because that's what the system is there for. That's what the system is there for. Assistance. Now, if you start to put that in connection to the fact that trying to get a job as a black woman may be a little bit of a challenge, right? It may be a little bit of a challenge because we know that a lot of the jobs that are out here and the decision makers that are out here are folks that don't look like my sisters. And they have the ability to make the ultimate decision of whether or not they get a job or not. And unfortunately, you have at times where people, they fall in line with the stereotypes. So all the things that I talked about in my videos, talking about what people label black sisters as being, you got somebody who's sitting on the other side of that table who, when they speak to a sister, sometimes if they see a sister's name, because the names may be a little different, that gives them that sense that that's probably not someone who's another culture. It's probably a black sister. Then there's decisions that could be made to say, you know what, if they are what I believe they are, angry, lazy, sassy, aggressive, all of those different emotions that I talked about before, all those different stereotypes I talked about before, I don't want that. I don't want to deal with that. So then there's less and less opportunities. So that's why you have a system like a welfare system that maybe sisters have to get on until they get themselves on their feet. But don't mistaken that as believing that you think that my sisters are lazy for using that system. There are ones that abuse, like all of these folks that are in other cultures that are on the system and they abuse the system. Don't do anything else different. But there are a lot of sisters out there who don't want to be on that system. They want to be able to enjoy their life. They want to be able to go travel. They want to be able to have a house. They want to be able to have cars. They want to be able to live that lifestyle that is abundant. And so they use the system as a pit stop. As a pit stop. Just to kind of hold, like as a bridge, just to hold them up until they can make another step towards whatever things that are going to get them out of that particular situation. My sisters do a lot. They take on a lot of family. They take on the world. They take on so many different things. They take on their relationships. They take on so many different things each and every day. They get bombarded with stuff, just like any other culture that goes through some of these things. Our sisters go through that. But then what happens on top of it is that they also have to deal with the world and how the world reacts to them, responds to them, looks at them, demoralizes them. And then they got to come out and still lift their head up and still come out and work and do the things that they need to do. And they get denigrated also by their own men. My brothers even got problems with our sisters. So they're getting hit from all different sides. So will it tire him out? Yeah, it'll tire anybody out. If you got seeming like the whole world is on top of you, the whole world is against you, you're not going to have the energy to sit there and be productive with certain things. But you know what? Our sisters still do that because they know that in order for their household to run, they still got to do the necessary things to make it run. They still got to do the cooking. They still got to do the cleaning. They still have to take care of their kids. They still have to take care of their siblings, their parents, their friends. Sisters do a lot. Help out these communities. Who you think you see most of when it comes down to when these political events go on? You see sisters on the phone calls, out walking, sitting at the voting booths. Our sisters are doing that stuff, but they're lazy, huh? They're lazy. The young ones are just as lazy as all these other cultures. They're doing the same exact thing because that's just the society that we're now living in, where everybody is working off of technology and distracted and all. So these young sisters are doing the same exact thing that these other cultures are doing. Same exact thing. But somehow you want to single them out and say that they're lazy. Yeah. Nah. You got to talk to more sisters, man. You got to talk to more sisters and ask them about their background and what they're going through. When they come into jobs and you're a manager and you're a supervisor, your approach has to be where you treat them like a human, where you treat them like they are on the level that they should be on. Not look down on them because of what you believe, of what you thought as far as the stereotypes that are out there about them. You got to eliminate that first. If you don't eliminate that first, then you already have the preconception that this is what you're going to get from this person. So then you treat them and you have the attitude that you give towards that person. So what do you think is going to happen if you give this kind of attitude to that person? That person is going to respond and like. Now, again, it does go back to the mentorship that our sisters have to get more mentorship of how you conduct yourself in settings like that, to where you don't respond in like because someone is acting a certain type of way. Because there is a hierarchy as it relates to jobs. It is there. So you got to listen to authority. So that part, I always say that there may be a lack more of that. But to label that our sisters are lazy, you got to talk to them a lot more. You got to see what they're going through. And some of the stuff, unfortunately, is out of their control. They weren't born in the life of Riley, where they come into a society where they can't do no wrong. They're not on that side. They're not on that side. They're on the other side. And so there are a lot more challenges with what they have to go through and how they have to conduct themselves and how they got to navigate themselves from when they wake up in the morning to dealing with whatever they got to deal with in their household, to when they step out that door and then it's a whole world that are viewing them a certain way and expecting that they're going to be a certain way, just because there's some that you have that are ignorant and they make it they make it bad for others. You know, it's funny when we start talking about other cultures, where other cultures tend to, with black women, they tend to label one as all the same. But black sisters don't do that. They don't do that with other cultures. They take you as the individual that you are. Now, do some of them believe certain things and say, hey, you know what? Some folks do act kind of the same. Yeah, you know, that happens. That absolutely happens. But for the most part, black women are very trusting, very engaging. And people take advantage of that. So on that note, we'll catch you on another one. Peace out.